right, what's up, everybody, and welcome to the Every Dad Podcast. My name is Ryan. This is Rob. This is Ty. And right now we have Mr. Brad Bromlow with us. If you don't know who that is, you may know Fat and Weird Cookie, based out of Panama City. This is Mr. Fat and Weird Cookie right here. Ty told me you were coming, and I'm like, it's probably going to be some fat and weird dude walk through the doors.
It's not.
You're not fat and weird, bro. But whatever, man. I'm not jealous at all of your hair or muscles or anything. But hey, man, we are super glad that you're here, dude. Thanks for taking time just to come hang out with this tiny little podcast and talk about life and dads and business and all that stuff. And you brought cookies. We're going to do some taste testing in a moment, so I'm kind of pumped about that. So
Rob
welcome.
said it's his favorite episode.
It's his favorite episode. We haven't even done it yet. So, dude, so welcome to Every Dad, man. We want to thank you so much for just hanging out with us for just a few minutes and letting us pick your brain about stuff. So
yeah, that was quite the intro. I'm impressed. Yeah.
You're impressed?
Yeah,
hey, somebody write that down on our team. Somebody write that. No, I'm just kidding.
So one of my favorite sayings is that you don't actually have to be the smartest person in the room. You just have to figure out how to get them there and then how to trust you.
Okay.
And so as soon as I heard his voice, I said, you are the quarterback of these podcasts moving forward. So
I thought it was my face, man.
It's a little bit of both.
It's a sultry voice.
60-30.
So, yeah, I've been told I have a radio face.
A radio face.
Yeah.
Because nobody sees it, right?
That means like his voice is good for radio, but that's it. Because like he would not make
radio
TV
and a face.
Yeah.
People don't like and subscribe on YouTube because of this. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that could change.
Yeah,
You
it
never
could.
know.
It could. Anyway, welcome.
It's an impressive beard though. So
I appreciate it.
There it is.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, maybe they're doing it for the
You got
beard.
impressive curls.
Yeah, I have some nice locks. I can grow a pretty gnarly beard
that?
too.
Nice.
I really
Can we
can.
mix
Yeah.
the
This is just
compliments around?
compliment
Sorry.
hour over
Sorry.
here.
It's
Go
a
ahead.
love
Say
fest in
something
this
nice.
corner,
That's
okay?
right.
It's just like he's just excited about
hot.
the cookies. He just
I
like
am.
doesn't know what to do.
I've already got
so
one picked
yeah.
out, so I will figure that out.
Yeah, I've got my eye on one also.
Well, I mean, why don't you just dive in then? I can talk about the cookies right now.
Let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
just jump
Let's
straight
go.
into the
I thought we were
cookies.
going to have to wait till the end.
So-
Let's do this.
No, yeah.
Fat and weird.
So
cookies,
Brad
right?
owns
Yeah.
Fat and Weird Cookie. Really excited about that. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But something that I've seen a lot on Instagram is the reviews of all of your cookies. So
Yeah.
here's my question. One, where you have such a vast, just diverse name selection,
Yeah.
where does that come from? And two, are you able to identify every single cookie and what it is on the spot?
Oh, not on the spot because some of our cookies use similar outside doughs and the cores are different. So
Gotcha.
it would be very hard to like tell them apart. Like for example, on our Valentine's pack, we have two cookies that essentially use our Black Beauty dough, which is kind of like our Oreo cocoa kind of dough. And so it's if I looked at them, I wouldn't be able to tell. If cut into them, then yeah, I would say but it's hard. We've done 160 flavors. You like that? Black
That's an
Beauty?
exact
I
number.
do.
160 flavors.
Over 160.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
And so that's another hard one. It's like sometimes I'm like, wait, what is that? I don't remember that cookie's name. But yeah, the naming convention of cookies, I just try to name them something that kind of relates back to what the cookie is, and then sometimes it doesn't at all.
Sometimes it just just
What was
like
your
the way it
first
sounded.
cookie?
We had 6 flavors in the very beginning that we offered. So one of them was called Grandpa's Pocket. It had butterscotch. It had butterscotch in it. 'cause
That's
I feel
pretty
like
love
creative.
that.
That's
I feel like,
pretty
and it had craisins. I feel like your grandpa always had weird stuff in his pocket.
My granddad
actually.
actually literally had craisins in his pocket at all times.
And,
so it was
butterscotch candies.
Yeah.
It's a
Checks
real
out.
thing, right?
Yep.
We had one called Golden Boy, and it was chocolate chip walnut. I feel like that's just a very stereotypical, the Golden Boy, kind of the same thing you kind of see. That we had the Pudge, which is our peanut butter one.
Love it.
So
Love the name.
yeah, it's like a peanut butter cookie with Reese's Pieces, and now we make our own homemade peanut butter cup filling that we put inside of it. But before we just shoved a peanut butter cup in it.
Nice.
Man, Black Beauty was one of the originals as well. And so whenever people used to do cookies and cream cookies, I feel like they used to just chop up Oreos and put it into a regular cookie. But we wanted to have it be that actual Oreo color, and then chop up Oreos and put it in there and white chocolate chips and stuff. So that one, oh man, Big Sexy chocolate chip salty caramel. I don't know why we call it Big Sexy. I don't know. Caramel
That's my
Sexy.
nickname.
So yeah.
That's weird.
Well,
yeah,
that
that's what
one's
it's called
named.
Ryan.
That one's named. It's still a bestseller.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
know,
There you go.
You know, it's one of the best ones. So
All right, so we're gonna jump in and just grab a piece of cookie, right?
yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So-
So I know I'm 90% sure that there's two of them that look the same
Yep.
twice. The first two, one of them, those are I'm pretty sure is Letty Doki. So they're like Krispy Kreme donuts with Biscoff and
I'm in.
Heath Bits, and then it's stuffed with Biscoff. And then if it's not, there's a cookie that looks similar. It's a butterscotch cookie, so that would be the other thing. And
I'm
then
gonna-
the ones that you're eating is Let It Dough, which is like a sugar cookie. Really, it's just like sugar. It's our version of like those like Loft House sugar cookies, you know.
Well,
No,
I-
you can stuff
gonna
it,
say,
and then
I
yours
did-
is peppermint one. It's like
it
a
is.
mocha
Yeah, it is.
peppermint.
This is Let It Dough. Let
Yeah.
It Snow.
Yeah.
Let It Snow.
Yeah,
It's like a York bar.
yeah.
That's
So
good.
And
yeah,
That's
it's
so
a
good.
peppermint mocha, so it's like our Christmassy flavors that we had, So
That's just done well.
all right.
That's just
so
really
I'm
good.
gonna a confession moment.
Yeah.
I've never had a fat and weird cookie.
that's okay.
So I hope you don't hate me. But
No, I'm just gonna change your life
Well,
now.
so- That's good. But the other thing I can say is the Tucker household has. And the reason I know that is because the very first time I came back to visit when I was living in New Orleans,
Dog.
I saw Cade, and he was actually the first person that I saw eating fat and weird cookie. That was the first time I had ever even seen it or heard about it, and that
Interesting,
was your
yeah.
son. So
I didn't hear anything you said.
you
I
guys
just took
have
a bite of
supported
cookie.
fat and weird cookie
Yeah,
before.
I want
Yeah.
to apologize for everybody I just smacked in their ears. That's my bad. But I'm into this.
This
These are
is
so
pretty
good.
good, bro.
Thanks.
Like, I'm not just saying that because we have cameras on us. Like,
Yeah.
it's really good.
What are you supposed to do with all the blue stuff on your fingers?
You lick it off. But yeah, and so right now we're actually moving into like wholesale. The cookies are doing well in wholesale, but really I'm doing something called we're calling them mega bites, but they're stuffed edible cookie dough. So they're about the size of a marble, but Big Sexy, Pitch Intense, which are s'mores flavor. We have Black Beauty, Massive Eruption, which is our lava cake, and then Pudge, all in bites right now. And that we just got into Wegmans grocery stores
Nice.
in the Northeast, and then Myers is ordering as well, and then we've been talking to Publix, and so hopefully in the next like couple months we can get a PO from Publix, and we'd be nationwide in all those stores.
Wow.
So yeah,
So let's just go ahead and transition straight into some questions, man, because I mean these guys are stuffing their face with cookies, but
This one's better. I like this
that
one
one's-
more.
yeah, I'm
this
telling you,
one's
change your
so
life.
good. Which
He
one's
said
this?
it.
that's a Krispy Kreme one. Does it taste like a donut?
I mean,
Yeah. So yeah. Mhm.
So how do you, as a dad, having a business that's growing, a business that how long you been in the cookie game?
I get we're coming up on 7 years this
Okay.
year. Yeah.
And how old are your kids?
My daughter turns 4 next month, and then my son is 5 weeks old. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you.
So how do you manage running a business yet, a business that's growing yet still trying to be a husband, be a dad? Like how does that work in your life? I mean, we were talking earlier. You're a pretty busy guy. So how do you manage the work-life balance as a successful business owner?
I think you just have to be really intentional with your time and what you're doing. I think that I'm still trying to figure it out sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that it's okay to sometimes be in these like temporary phases where you like maybe don't have as much time at home, and then later you do have more time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just like try to keep like very consistent schedules, and sometimes it's just not realistic.
Right.
Just having a newborn. My wife and I go to counseling a lot, and we're at counseling. We're just talking about how we're both appreciative that we realize that the phase that we're in is temporary.
Yeah.
Like my wife will probably be in bed before I get home, just because our son likes to go to bed at like 7 o'clock, and like you can't make a newborn go to sleep at a different time.
Yeah.
And their first stretch is like the best stretch of sleep.
Yeah.
So sometimes she just like goes to bed at 7 o'clock when he does, and so sometimes I sleep in the room with her. Sometimes I sleep in the guest room if I like really need to get sleep.
Yeah.
And I think it's just knowing that like this phase is temporary, and once we get through this, like we'll find out what works for us. And like right now, this has just got to work.
And
for
that's
us.
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
No,
Right.
mhm.
And we've talked to some guys that, they feel like the schedule's the schedule, and if anything deviates from the schedule, but understanding where you are, understanding your kids, understanding your wife, I mean, I think it's okay to be able to go, hey man, we gotta got to adjust a little bit. Like it's fine. Ty, I know you had some.
Well, yeah. I
some
mean,
stuff that
and
you
just
wanted
kind
to
of bouncing
ask.
off of that.
Well, maybe I should be asking Ty. I mean,
Yeah,
this
no
guy's got
kidding.
like 1 million kids. No,
Yeah,
not
well-
really. But like at one point it was five and under, and I literally, my wife looked at me and she goes, "Could you imagine if Letty wasn't almost 4? Like how
Yeah.
difficult this would be?" And literally both of us looked like, what did Ty do? Because like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure like when you look back at it, you're like 1 is hard, and then I had 2, and I'm like 1 is easy, and then I have 3, and then like 2 is easy, and like it's kind of like stacks that way. But man, like. Good job, you survived.
Yeah,
this,
I'm here.
You know?
I'm here.
Like, yeah, and so like maybe I should be asking you these questions.
Faithfulness,
You know?
faithfulness of the Lord,
Yeah.
faithfulness of an amazing wife that is feeling very called to be at home and very present. And that's again we talked about different phases and being, each family kind of is led the way that they feel like their family is supposed to be led. And but it's been a daily. Kind of the same thing, honestly. I mean, what you were saying is, resonates with me pretty deeply. So I know earlier we had kind of talked a little bit about your routine, and we had, you know, and I knew you, a couple months ago. I would see you, I know we were dropping kids off kind of at the same time, and we'd see each other kind of sometimes at the gym here in the city. 9:30, and then all of a sudden I get a text that says, "Hey man, after this podcast, I'm going straight to bed.
Yeah.
Like, I've got to be up at 4 a.m. because I've got to start my routine way earlier." And I know you talked about different kind of seasons, but maybe walk us through like some of the the things that you as a business owner, but also as a husband and a father, as a follower of Christ, like what are some of those things that you absolutely have to do in order for you, feel like to live your kind of best kind of God-given life?
Yeah. Yeah, my routine did get like turned on its head. Like I definitely would be like, my wife and I would, put our daughter down at, 8 o'clock, and sometimes we let it stretch to like 8:30, and then, we'd go watch TV together or be on our phones, and we wouldn't go to bed till like 10 or 10:30, and then our daughter would kind of like get us up at like 6 or 6:30 in the morning. And that was like literally kind of like the way we did things. And I think it was just like, when my son was born, I was like looking at my screen time on stuff, and I was like, man, my screen time on like social media is just like really high.
Yeah.
Aubrey and I are like watching a lot of TV shows, and I like don't feel like this really adds value to our life. And I don't know. I wouldn't say that like my son was this epiphany, but it was. I think a lot of things. The new year, you kind of like really want to get focused on like what you're trying to do. Fat and Weird last year, it was its best year ever by like 50% higher than any other year. So I just on our podcast, I'd been talking, with my COO Adam, who's on the podcast with me, just about like, if I had to give a word to 2025, what would it be? And I decided that it was going to be like clarity. And I decided to like set some personal financial goals and, business goals and get like really aggressive on those things and exchange my time on social media and on like watching TV for more intentional time. Like we talked about intentional time with my family. So I wanted to like get home from work earlier, which meant I couldn't go to the gym at 9 o'clock anymore.
Right.
Because I wanted to be home at 4:30 and not home at 5:36. And, so that meant I needed to like make up time on the front end because my wife is going to want to go to bed at like, 8:30 or 8 now with the newborn. So I just kind of was like, well, this is what I need to do to make it happen. And, if I have these aggressive goals, then I need to like make the plan to like hit them. I'm a very disciplined person though. Like, if I say I'm going to go do something, I do it. Like I bought a cold plunge. I'm like, I'm going to cold plunge every time I'm home. Like I'm not going to make it this thing where I have to cold plunge every day, but if like I'm home, I'm going to go cold plunge. And it's like, I've walked outside and it's like, this last little cold spell, it's like 26 degrees. I'm like, all right, getting into the cold plunge, and like I just do it, It's like, it's there every day. I'm going to go do it. I think the same thing with my routine. I was just like, well, this is going to suck at first, but you eventually just got to get used to like it's sucking, and you're just like, this is part of what I do now.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on this cold plunge, man.
Yeah.
Like what? Is that fun for you?
No, it's not at all. But I mean, I can get into some scientific stuff. So,
Is it
so
fun?
your
No,
anterior cingulate cortex
Yeah,
is
I
a
was
part of your
thinking
brain.
the same thing. Yeah.
And they've actually correlated it with your will to live. And that part of your brain,
You just don't fight hard enough.
that part of your brain actually decreases with age. It actually gets smaller as you age. And they found that it's biggest in people that are like athletes and stuff like that. And they found that the only way to grow that part of your brain is to do hard things that you don't want to do. So I started setting a lot of goals that were hard that I didn't want to do. And it's really like they've correlated to, willpower, discipline, and things like that. And so it's kind of like, stacking bricks up. Like once you've done like a lot of hard things, even if someone's like, oh, you can't do that, you're just like, I know I can do it. Like I don't need to prove that to you I can do it,
Yeah, for sure. I love that. I mean, I think that's, we talked a little bit about pillars, kind of some of those kind of building blocks or foundations that you have that are kind of rules. And obviously we make no apologies that, we are all people that have found, our hope and our reason for living inside of a relationship with Jesus. And, and so, kind of in all of that, I'm reading, I think yesterday, maybe the day before, and in 2 Corinthians, and it's talking about, like, man, there's this discipline that has to happen before desire kind of even kicks in, right? But it's about doing the things that you don't want to do, and then eventually, not being driven by that, your desire will begin to kind of kick in.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit maybe about your the role that discipline over desire, or like you just said, kind of that mentality of I'm going to do what I know is right every day.
Yeah.
Like how has that been a huge factor in the success that you guys' business has had? Or
well, I mean, I think it's definitely like a driving force for like a lot of high achievers, because I think a lot of people, most people could do a lot more than they actually do, and it's just because there's certain people that are willing to just do it every day when they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's like what separates a lot of people from being like average to great. I hate running. Like I hate it. When I competed in like a bodybuilding show, like forever ago, I had to do so much cardio that I literally was like, I'm never doing cardio
I think
again.
we're at the same show.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
How
think
much
you were
was
top.
your
Yeah, you were
ticket?
top 3 for
Yeah,
sure.
something
Yeah.
like that.
But no, but I was like, I'm never doing cardio again. And like, I swear to you, for like 7 years, I like never did any cardio. And then I did some CrossFit with Aubrey. And then I was like, you know what? I am going to start running. And I remember I was like, I'm going to run a mile a day. Like no running at all to running like 30 miles in a month. And I like literally 26 days in, like my knee started hurting me. And to the point where like I was going to like the PT, and they're like, yeah, you have pes anserine bursitis. Like don't run on it. You need to rest. It's because of a tight hamstring. And I was like, I have 4 more days to go. And so I KT taped my leg and took ibuprofen, and I ran 4 more days, and I finished the 30 days. Then I took some time off, but I decided I was like, I want to keep up running because like I just want to do it. And so I would go out and I'd run like 2 miles on the weekend, and then it was like 3 miles, and it's 4 miles, and like now I've signed up for a half marathon, and I have a goal time of like an hour 45, like not like it's pretty aggressive. It's 8-minute miles for 13 miles, and just in the last like few weeks, I've been running like 20 miles a week, split up between 2 to 3 days, and so. Yeah, and I still hate it every morning at 5:15 when I go out running.
you're still
with my
waiting
friend.
to like it, huh?
Yeah. I don't enjoy it. Like it's not fun to like breathe heavy and you're hard to beat fast. It's just like not a fun thing for me. So
Yeah, that's not something I've ever personally, felt like I needed to do either. Was running for a long period of time.
we know I
For
saw
sure,
something. It was like some super low number, like only 10% of people over the age of 30 will ever sprint again. And I was like,
Wow.
what? Yeah, and there's some numbers like that's like only like 5% of the people over the age of 40 will jump again. And when you start like thinking about that, and you're like, ooh, yeah, I don't want to be that 90%.
Yeah.
Like in life, I don't want to be that 90%. Like I want to be at least top 10%.
Right,
So it's like, well, I better start running.
Well, I mean, and that's a great attitude to have in family and
Yeah.
being a dad, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and we've had lots of conversations about different dad things, right? And we've talked about how sometimes, dads aren't present, how moms are outpacing dads with responsibilities. And, if you take that sort of mindset, I love the desire word because for me, desire is simple because it's just a thought, right? But desire requires some sort of action. It requires us to do something in order for us to fulfill that desire. We have to have action, whether and I'll use it with young adults all the time. Like, I have a desire to read my word. Well, all right, you can have a desire to read
Right.
the word, but are you actually taking that action to do it? So we take this mindset on, man, I want to be the best husband and dad that I can be, regardless if it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's hard being a dad. It's hard being a husband sometimes, but man.
Well, I think what you said actually like probably clicked with me is that so like my desire is to not be average. So when I
Yeah.
read that statistic, my desire says don't be average. So now my discipline must make the steps for me not to be average, right? I remember reading something Wendell sent me about like the average amount of times like a Christian opens their Bible. And it was like once, like majority of them, it was like once a month or something. Maybe it was like one time a week or something like that. I don't even think it was that. I think the majority of it was
Probably
like
not.
once a year. But anyways, I remember seeing that and I remember going, where do I fall? And why am I okay with that? You know, like if I call myself a Christian and I like truly am trying to like have this relationship with God, like where am I on this list? And like, why am I okay with like either being where I'm at or like allowing this many people to like be like working harder at being a Christian than me, you know? Yeah. So I think that like, those things I think are the desires to like not be average in anything that I'm trying to do, you know, or areas that I feel like are important in my life.
Yeah.
You know, like if you call yourself like someone that goes to the gym and then you're like, oh, the average person goes to the gym twice a week, and you're like, well, I only go once a week. It's like, well, I mean, maybe you're not a gym guy anymore.
Yeah,
you know?
right. Yeah, I think it's Atomic Habits by James Clear, and he talks a lot about that. But he says basically like your choice, you know, your identity is a choice, and obviously as you know Christians we would talk about a little bit of kind of from a different perspective, but. Just thinking about the habits and the things that you have, who you become. Your identity is a choice. It's the actions that you lay the foundation with that either affirm that for you and others, or deny that for you and others. So, taking the same word, desire, because I think about like somebody that would be a business owner, or in our case we're all ministers, husband, father. There's a lot of things that we desire to do. What would you say maybe to a dad, to somebody that is maybe at the very beginning of whether it's kind of creating a business, or they're just in the throes of their daily kind of startup or whatever it is? What would you tell them maybe, as far as making sure, do you have like a couple of rules? Do you have a couple of, like you said, pillars? Just to keep yourself grounded in what matters most, or to encourage somebody that's maybe is risking, they're going, okay, well, my kids are young right now, so I don't need to spend just a ton of time with them. What I need to do is try and build my successful, I've heard this before, build my successful business up so that when they're older, I can have that, versus, it sounds like, one of the things that blew my mind, to be honest with you, the other day when I saw you at the zoo, what blew my mind was like, I think, your son was like just a couple of days old, and I'm like, man, this dude's taking the time to still be with his daughter and spend time in what matters most right now. So what would you say to to that dad or to that business owner that's got the family, to encourage them as they're maybe trying to just prioritize business and family, work life?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about earlier, just like sometimes things are temporary. So like I think it's okay to like temporarily have to say, hey, like I need to make some investments in our future, which means that I'm going to be a little bit less present here, right? But again, that is like a temporary thing, and I think that's a discussion with you and your wife, right? I think that she has to be like okay and support that decision, But I mean, I think that as long as you like keep like as cliche as it may sound, like God as like the key to like your relationship with your wife and your business, then I really find it like difficult to go wrong in those situations. I find that when people start getting guided by other things, that's when there's an issue. I know it's going to sound stupid, but like a book I just read, maybe my favorite book of all time, and it's like "Don't Let the Enemy Have a Seat at the Table" by Lou. Is it Giglio?
Louis Giglio.
Yeah. So it's a great book, But I mean, a lot of that talks about like the Lord has prepared a table for you in the presence of your enemies. Okay, and like, who wants to eat in the presence of your enemies? Like, hey, you got some cookies right here, but it's like everyone that is your enemy, that wants ill things to happen to you, that doesn't like you.
Yeah.
You know, all those people are sitting around like, go ahead, enjoy that cookie. You know, and you're like, this is awkward. Like, I don't want to do this, right? But it's just also so easy to allow the devil to have a seat at that table. Because like he knows what to say. So whenever you've been working really hard and you feel like you're not appreciated, he's like, oh, I don't know why. Oh man, you're killing this. Like you're just, I don't know, you're so underappreciated, right? And you're like, yeah, I am underappreciated. Yeah. You know, and then you allow the devil to sit down at the table, and then like next thing you know, he's eating your cookies.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, just like leaving, God the focus is everything that I'm doing, like aligning with, is it bringing me closer to God or not? And I'm not saying that needs to necessarily bring you closer every single thing you do, but like it definitely shouldn't be bringing you further away.
Yeah.
So, same with your business. Like, what is your goal of your business? Like, are you trying to generate like personal wealth for yourself? Well, I mean, yeah, I'm not saying that God's not going to allow you to have that, but like, yeah, you may be giving up some other things or allowing the devil to have a seat at that table. But I think if you're like, yeah, my goal and my mission is to always shine a light back towards God, then
Yeah. No, I love that.
So this kind of goes back to more like background and stuff like that. And I'm asking this because like I'm a visual learner. So like maybe somebody hears your story, how y'all got started, and maybe they're sitting on an idea. Like Ty and I have started like 14 different businesses. They're just all in the planning stage.
yeah.
Why would you
But
say
like,
that?
but like how
I know at least two
like,
of them. So.
I mean, you're health conscious guy. Like how did you get into cookies?
Yeah.
The cookie business.
Well, for us, it was cookies and ice cream are like my favorite thing. I don't know of a
Me
better combo. You can throw them all out there, but I'm gonna disagree. Like a hot cookie, cold ice cream. You got the juxtaposition of contrast of temperatures in there. There's something about when the ice cream like hits the outside and it makes like that crunchy shell on the outside, but it's still kind of like doughy on the inside. And go on. I love it. Okay. And so for my birthday, my wife, we lived in Houston at the time, and we were working kind of corporate jobs, if you will, but we had grown our social media followings, and she was like, send cookies to Brad to his P.O. box. She like hid the story from me so I couldn't see it. And we had like thousands of cookies show up to our P.O. box.
Really?
Yeah. And back then, crumble wasn't a thing. And so like when you asked for a Snickers cookie, someone just like made a chocolate chip cookie, and then they just like cut up a Snickers bar and they put it in a cookie, and that was a Snickers cookie. So I like tried all these cookies, and Levain Bakery was really big back then, doing those big like New York style cookies. And I was like, man, I wish someone did like Levain Bakery style cookies, but like way crazier flavors. Because Levain Bakery has like a chocolate peanut butter chip, the chocolate chip walnut. I mean, they have like 4 flavors, and there's like basic flavors. Oatmeal raisin. And so
I have trust issues.
I was like, man, yeah,
It's
no,
a chocolate
oatmeal
chip
raisin
every
is like,
time.
you
Yeah,
think it's
I was
oatmeal
gonna say,
chocolate chip, and you're like, yes, and then you bite into it, and you're like,
not.
no.
They definitely don't have any grandpa's wallet. I'll tell you that.
But so I was like, man, it'd be really cool if people like were just like pushed the envelope of cookies and like did these big New York style cookies that were just like way crazier flavors. And I was like, we could just start a company. And I was like, yeah, we could. And then I started like researching it, and I was like, I'm gonna start a cookie company. And she's like, really? And I was like, yeah. And that was April, and by August I had launched Fat and Weird.
Wow.
So again, when I say I'm gonna do something,
That's
I just
awesome.
do
Right.
it,
Yeah.
That's
know?
really cool.
They say a lot of successful entrepreneurs, it's just like you got to fail fast.
Yeah.
You just go and you try it, and you're like, nah, that didn't work. I mean, the startup cost for a cookie company was like not a lot of money. Got their permits. We did pre-orders for our first one, so it's like kind of the cash came in, able to buy the ingredients and like do everything that way. So it was like not a huge cost to get to where we are now. A lot of money is involved
Sure.
in that operations now, but to start out, it wasn't a big cost. And Aubrey and I had quit our full-time jobs and to do social media full-time and that Fat and Weird was gonna be like our side thing, and then now Fat and Weird's like really our main thing. And I joke that I like do social media kinda on the side now, but I mean Fat and Weird is by far.
So
the
you
main thing.
mentioned something, on this whole entrepreneur spirit type thing. You talk about failure. Like, so I know a couple guys who are that mindset, they have that entrepreneur mindset where they're just boom, 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 but they've failed. And then they've started over, and they've failed, and they've started over. So how do you deal with failure? Like, how do you deal with that?
Well, I mean,
I know that question wasn't on our list. So,
well, I mean, it's just like a lot of people fail
right.
at things. I think that you learn something in every
Yeah.
failure, you know? And so, I mean, we had a clothing company. It failed in the aspect of, like, I shut it down. We probably lost a little bit of money, truthfully, based on everything. So it's like, by all means, that was like a failure. But, like, I learned a lot. I know a lot about the clothing market now. If I wanted to get some clothes made, I know where to go to do it. So, yeah, it was a fail by a lot of people's definition. But at the same time, it's like, well, I learned a lot. You know, I paid with time and money, but I mean, I don't know. It's like I just don't know what the big deal about failing is.
Well, you
Like,
change the optics, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody looks at failure and go, "Oh, like that's a failure," but you're changing the thought of it. Where
yeah,
you're
but
like,
who cares of what everyone thinks you're a
Absolutely,
failure? Though?
right.
So I guess that's my biggest thing is I used to care,
Okay.
right? But like
yeah,
I've realized that like
That's a great
most
word.
emotions and things are like they're all projections. So like someone cuts you off when
That's
you're
a good word.
driving and you get angry at them,
That
they don't
never
feel that. They don't feel that
Right.
anger. Like you can honk your horn, whatever. It's half the time they don't even hear you, and then you sit on that anger, and you're the only one feeling it.
yeah.
So like all your emotions are like inward.
Did Ty tell you
And
to
so-
say that to me?
No,
Okay.
no.
All right.
No, I used to be that way too. I really did.
Ryan's a
and then
very
now I'm
calm
just like,
driver.
I still catch myself like getting upset, but it's just like
I do.
It is
So
what it is.
you
Why would
mentioned-
why would I say that?
I
about
don't
you?
know, man. I was just trying to make it funny on the podcast. Whatever. You mentioned Houston. Like I'm from Beaumont,
okay.
so
Yeah, I worked for BASF Chemicals.
Oh, nice. So I did a lot of corporate stuff at Memorial Hermann there in Houston before I was a pastor. So
Yeah.
I did not like Houston driving.
Yeah, not at all. I went to, that's actually when my starting doing early stuff. I started to go to, I used to wake up at like 4:45 to get to work at 5:30 because it only took me about 20 minutes to get to work if I left at like 5 a.m. But if I left at like 6 a.m., it took 45 minutes. And if I left at 7 a.m., it was like an hour and 15 minutes. And so I was like, I'd rather just wake up
Absolutely
early and just
stupid.
get there super early.
And I
And
feel like Panama City's the same way. I can't stand Panama City traffic.
People just can't drive.
I've
around
said that
here,
before.
especially
I had
when
the
it's
I'm
best.
done.
I had the best
I'm done.
commute before we moved out of Fat
Yeah.
and Weird. I used to just walk downstairs.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fastest time in the
Yeah.
office.
Quote of the episode is definitely going to be, "I just don't know what the big deal about failing is."
Yeah,
I love
that's
that. I think
that's
really
no,
cool.
that's good. That's I
Mhm.
mean, changing the optic on that.
Yeah.
That's
Perspective is huge.
yeah, that's huge.
I mean, you know, I think the bigger your influence becomes, the more you're going to have people that dislike you. And you can say that from any standpoint. I mean, you can name any person right now, actor, actress, politician. People love them, and they absolutely despise them.
Yeah.
And that just means that you have a big influence because not everyone is going to agree with you. Not everyone's going to. Some people aren't going to like the way you look. Some people aren't going to like the way you talk, you dress. They're not going to like where you're from. You know, there's all kinds of things that people don't like about you. That says more about them than it does you. If you're okay with the person that you are, then
And that's a good word for a dad too.
That is.
right.
100%.
Yeah. All right. So last question, and then we will shut it. Unless Ty's got something
good.
happen.
I'm
But
good.
last question. What's God doing in your life, in your family, in your business? Like what right now, if you were to say, man, this is what God's doing for our family, this is what's happening.
well, I mean, like truly, I feel like I'm in a season of like gratitude, you know, because I mean, He's done so much, you know,
Right.
like just having another child, you know, is a blessing. We've had like a really great year. I think if you didn't know the struggles like coming into it, like it wouldn't maybe. And from the outside, like a lot of people can look at my life and be like, "Wow, it's just like roses and sunshine and glitter and unicorns, like all that good stuff, right?" Cookies, but you know, I mean, we went through some very difficult times when the economy had started to like the interest rates had started to go up. I mean, people cut out discretionary spending, and it's cookies. With a lot of cookie franchises, not just Crumble, like growing. You know, people could get cookies quicker, so they weren't ordering them online as much. So, you know, I built quite a big machine, and that machine requires a lot of food. And, you know, when that's kind of dropping, Aubrey and I had to like start investing a lot of our life savings like into Fat and Weird to like keep it up and running. And, you know, I feel like every time I was getting close to being like, I don't know how long we can do this. Like God's provided. And I know it like may sound like cliche to people that don't know what that's like. I know, Ty, you've told me you know what that's like.
People have lived it. They
Yeah,
get it.
like literally, like getting to the point where like I don't have any more money to put in Fat and Weird. I don't know what to do. You know, and situations have arisen where like capital like comes in that we weren't expecting, or you know, just things have worked out certain ways. People have come in and been a part of Fat and Weird when I needed them. Just a lot of things like that. When I was at the zoo one time with my sister, we were looking for a co-packer for like one of our products, and like I was having a really hard time finding someone, and my sister was like, "Oh, you'll like so and so's husband when he gets here. He's an entrepreneur too." And so like he comes, I'm like, "Oh yeah, what do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I own a co-packing facility."
Wow.
Nice.
And I was like, "Really?" And I mean, I was going to the zoo to meet my sister. He was from Atlanta, was down here for something, and just decided to stay to go to the zoo with his family to go while they were here before he headed back up to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Just all like God things. Like
Yep.
why would you like?
Right.
First off, how many people know someone that owns a co-packing facility?
Right.
Like, yeah, exactly. It's like not very common.
I
to
know
find.
someone that does.
Well,
but-
and not just that, we have a very niche need. Like we have to have like, you know, freezer tunnels, and we need to have like rooms that can be held, like entire rooms for our bites that can be held at like refrigeration temperatures. Like that's not like normal stuff for co-packing facilities. And they're like, yeah, we have that. So you know, I mean, just like things like that. Man, so just gratitude right now. I mean, I've had some land that on Airport Road that we've been trying to sell. It was under contract, went out of contract, and it's been like this huge burden for me because just a lot of money tied up, and it was supposed to be like this really quick thing, and it's been tied up for like almost 18 months longer. And you know, and all the while you're like, I really could use this cash for my business, and we're closing on Friday.
Nice.
And so yeah, I mean, I just really. Gratitude. I swear I hit my shuffle play sometimes in my worship playlist and like gratitude pops up. Like as the first song, like more times than not. And I was like, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. So
No,
yeah.
that's a good word. I mean, yeah. It's always good to be thankful for the things God's done for us. And,
Yeah.
And we always try to encourage dads too, just even in our conversations, like it's okay to pull back, look at the 30,000-foot view and just see everything that God has done for you in your life. And it's okay to be thankful for that. It's okay to have some gratitude to your wife and to your family. Man, it's huge. It's huge. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, you know, another thing too is like people have said like sometimes in your hardest moments with your children, like when you're at the zoo and they're like just temper tantrum, like going crazy and stuff. It's easy to like get upset or get worked up or like to be like, oh my gosh, I just want it out of here. But like 30 years from now, if you could go back to that moment, even in the chaos of that moment, like you would do it just because like you're never going to get that again.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you, like the whole thing of like, oh, you'll never know the last time that you like pick up your kid or the last time that you do this or that.
Right.
So I think that just like gratitude is just such an important thing. Gratitude is being thankful for what you like are currently experiencing. So like to me, it like if you're feeling anxious, start practicing gratitude because you can't be anxious and grateful at the same time.
Yeah.
Because anxiety is focused on the future, whereas gratitude is focused on the present. So I you know, and depression is focused on the past. So it's like gratitude is like a cure for a lot of things. I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know.
That's good.
That's really deep. Yeah.
It is.
No, and that I'll be honest with you, that what you just said about picking your kid up for the last time kind of got me because my oldest is 6. He's getting taller. He's
Yeah.
very tall for his age. And to be honest with you, I can't remember. It's been a couple days since it's usually right now. It's like when he gets hurt or when something happens. I think I'm gonna start picking him up more because I don't know when. You're right. That is.
Yeah.
that
I
is
tried to pick
crazy.
my 19-year-old the other day.
He didn't like that.
Work. Yeah,
No.
it was kind of
No,
weird.
no.
But
We need to do it now. You'd be like, listen, I heard on
Please just walk-
but today on the
just walk
podcast
in
we
there.
talked about
I
this,
need to do
and so
this.
I need to do it because I
Yeah.
need to know
Just
that this is going to be the last time.
embrace it,
So
buddy.
just do this
Yeah,
for me,
yeah.
and let me pick you up, and
That's it.
this will be
Just
the last time.
stand
okay?
still.
All right, with that, Rob's gonna finish
you're
his
here, Brad.
last bite of
Yeah.
cookie. And Brad, dude, thank you so much for the wisdom and the insight and just taking the time. Ladies and gentlemen, Fat and Weird Cookie, check it out. Panama City.
Where can they find you?
Where can they find you?
Yeah, so fatandweirdcookie.com.
Okay.
And you can order it on there, and then soon we'll be in Wegmans, and then like I said, Myers, and then hopefully Publix after that.
Come on.
So yeah,
Love
Awesome.
yeah.
Ty, you
Very
got
cool.
anything?
that. Man, I'm good. looking at the place where we sat last, I think, and just I remember you being in some of those kind of middle stages. So just very cool to hear what God's doing in your life and in your business and in your family. And thank you again for coming on and being a part of this episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm good, dog.
Yeah.
Got his cookie.
Which one was your favorite one?
Honestly, the peppermint one.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
How about you, Ty?
I don't remember what you called them.
The one with
but,
the
ones that
Krispy
are right
Kreme
there in the
donuts?
center,
Yeah.
those are my favorite.
Yeah. No one got into the chocolate one.
Don't
you know?
worry.
I thought it was
Don't
the same.
don't worry.
Okay.
The episode.
No, this one. I think this one's our lava cake.
Go for it,
cookie,
Rob.
So, yeah.
As
Do
soon
it,
as
do
the
it. Number 3.
Yeah.
Right there. Get it.
Yeah, it's bite size. It's just bite size.
keep telling yourself that, man.
Oh. There
So-
it is.
I'll start running tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Hey, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to the Every Dad podcast. Like, subscribe, all those things. We're going to learn how to do that better next time. Anyway, we'll see you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
See you. Bye.